Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today is the 13th of June 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, some of the instruments that we looked at earlier, just to see how they're getting along. And yep, before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, just to kind of so that you wouldn't miss out on all the videos that we're doing here when the videos are coming out. So if you haven't subscribed yet, so yep, please do, just click here, and then yep, you won't miss any of our videos, and I hope you can find value in those. So would be very happy to kind of support you in your day-to-day trading activities, so with our insights. So yep, feel free to subscribe here, and yep, hope to see you all the time in our daily webinars. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the Nasdaq100. Now, looking at this index, yesterday it closed slightly in the negative territory, and looking at the cash index right now, we can see that we will probably get a higher opening here above the yesterday's close. So that's it. That's it. It will be very interesting to see if it actually can continue climbing higher. For now, it seems that all the indices have slowed down a little bit. For us, basically, technically speaking here, we need to see a nice good push above the 7,605 zone approximately there in order to kind of consider higher levels, because this way the index would confirm a higher high, and we could then target areas like the 7,674 zone marked by the high of the 8th of May and also by the low of the 2nd of May. Or even going a little bit further towards the 7,743 zone approximately there, marked by the high of the 7th of May. So of course I do have my arrow here all the way towards the all-time highs that we saw here this year in April, but for now we're just gonna keep that in our heads, and we will aim for slightly higher levels, but only if we see a nice good clear push above this level right here. Let me just quickly highlight that one for our future reference. So this one is right here, so it's the 7,605 level. In terms of the downside, well, if this travels lower here, breaks, let's say, below the 7,446 area, now this could still be okay for the buyers, because this might travel a little bit lower. It might test the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and if it provides good support, then we may see this one reversing back to the upside and pushing higher. So in a way, what we could see here is something like this. Let me just put an arrow here just quickly, and then yep, we could target this level right here, the one that I just mentioned, the 7,605 zone. But that's of course the second kind of scenario to the upside. Of course, if this continues, let's say, to fall then, and we see a break below the 200 EMA, well, I mean, for us, let's say, to start at least considering these lower levels that we saw in the first days of June, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 7,205 level here. Then we could target the low of the 3rd of June near the 6,939 zone approximately there, guys. So good potential area of support, but we will consider that only if we see a drop below here, below the 7,205. I do understand it's quite a big of a move here, but to be honest, it's better to be safe than sorry, because like I said, we may see this one sliding a little bit lower, but if the, let's say, the 200 EMA holds it, then yep, could see this one curving up and pushing to the upside again. So be very careful with that, and let's see how this is going to play out. Jumping into Brent oil very quickly here. So it did get a nice boost today, and most probably due to the news of the two tankers that were struck in the Gulf in the Gulf Sea, and for now, guys, be very careful with this one. Certainly, yes, it did get a nice push. It could travel higher here, but to be honest, if it fails to drive above this downside resistance line taken from the high near the highs of the 20th of May, now this is where it could become ugly for the bulls here again. We may see this one kind of retracing back down again and sliding towards the downside. So for now, this could be a nice scenario here. Of course, in a way, it could even not reach this downside resistance line. It could even get held here near the 64.10 zone, approximately there, near the highs of the 9th of June. So in a way, we could see something like this happening here, and yep, sliding back down. But initially, if we see such a move, we will initially target only the 59.42 zone, because this could in a way end up being a nice range here. Of course, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but just in case, like I said, this level here, the 59.40 zone, continues to hold the commodity from dropping lower, we may see this one rebounding and pushing up again. So in a way, be very careful with this one. Like I said, yes, if it drops below the 59.40, that's great news for the sellers. We could see further declines. This would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could see this one sliding towards the 57.20 or even further down. But for now, it did have a nice rally here to the upside today. Let's see if it can continue, but if it will continue, we may see this one struggling, let's say around here near the 64.10 zone, or kind of the last this last area for the sellers to step in could be this near this downside resistance line. If this gets broken and we see a push above the 65.70 level, now this could in a way spark some hope among the buyers, and we could see this one maybe traveling back towards the 68 area, approximately there. For now, yes, from the very short-term perspective, it could travel a little bit higher, but from the kind of more of a near-term perspective, medium-term perspective, still this is looking a bit more negative than positive. Jumping into AUDJPY very quickly on this one. So basically, yes, it continues to slide lower. The only thing is that the kind of the recent slide is now slightly steepened, slightly flattened, the other way around, slightly flattened basically from this previous steep slide to the downside. Now, as you can see, from around the end of May, the pair kind of is moving a little bit to the downside, but not at that degree as it did here in from the mid-April. So today it found some good support near the 74.75 level. So as you can see now, the pair is kind of rebounding and trying to make its way higher. Of course, the big question, will it actually do that? Because as you can also see here, and let me just quickly put this one, so from the very kind of short-term perspective, we do have this little downside resistance line here, a bit of a tentative one, of course, but nevertheless, we're going to keep a close eye on it. So in order for us, let's say, to aim a little bit higher here, ideally we would like to see a push above this 75.18 level, because then the pair would come back above this this little downside line, and then it could potentially travel a little bit higher, at least maybe towards this other short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 20th of May. Of course, this could be, like I said, this could be a nice breaking point here in order to kind of shift our very short-term views to the upside. But for now, as you can see, it still is below this little sensitive downside line. If it continues to hold, and let's say the pair struggles to push above the 75.18, then yep, we may see another leg of selling. But the only thing is that we're going to be very careful here, and let me just lift this a little bit. We're going to be very careful and wait for a break below the recent low here of the 74.75 level. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then maybe target the 74.50. But if that fails to withhold, the next potential target could be around the 74 zone, approximately there. Good potential target, just to show you what that level was here in the past. And let me just scroll back here, and that was basically the let me adjust this very quickly, guys. So this was basically the low of the 3rd of January, so a good potential target. But again, like I said, let's see how this is going to play out. For now, yes, it is rebounding, but if it struggles to overcome this little downside line, then we may see another leg of selling. If it pushes above it and we see a push above the 75.18, then well, this could in a way lead back up here towards this downside resistance line, and this short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of 20th of May, and then we'll take it from there, see how it's going to perform further. Very quick mentioning on the EURGBP. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Still kind of the same game plan remains here. The only thing is, I've covered this one in one of my previous videos, but the only thing is that what we're going to do here is we're going to shift this little support area a little bit here, because as you can see that yesterday it did violate this other one that I was talking about, but it kind of stayed below it but quickly reversed back to the upside. So in a way, this becomes probably a more important one to watch near the 0.8880. So keep your eyes on that one. Maybe a nice good break here and a nice good close of at least of a 4-hour candle below that area could potentially lead towards further declines. Of course, this way also the if we see a close below the 0.8880, then this would also mean that the pair is now back below its 50 EMA here, shown as the red line on the 4-hour chart, and the next potential target for us could be around here near the 0.8848 zone, approximately there. A good potential target, and then if we do see a touch of that area, then we will take it from there, see how it's going to perform further. For now, you can see that it's still flirting with this 50 EMA. So basically, let's wait and see this one out. Let's wait this one out and see how it's going to perform further. For now, yes, it is trying to make its way lower. Let's see if it actually breaks this 0.8880 level. In terms of the upside, still for us, this level here remains the same one, the same kind of breaking point, the 0.8933 zone, approximately there, marked by the high of this week, or to be more specific, the high of Tuesday. So in a way, if we see a push above this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and in a way we could be targeting higher levels. But for now, it is looking more to the downside than the upside. But then again, the whole day we still have the full US session to go through, and let's see how this is going to play out, and we'll keep your eyes on the 0.8880 level. Very quick mentioning of the USDCHF. I talked about this one this morning. Basically, after what I was saying, that even when the interest rate release will come out, when the S&P will release its interest rate, it's still, we may see a small drop here lower, but in a way we're still keeping a close eye on some of these key support and resistance levels. So in a way, as you can see, this level right here that I was talking about, the 0.9930, it kind of continues to hold, and you can see we did have a drop below this, but the bulls managed to quickly push the rate back above this level, above the 0.9930. So this kind of just points out the significance of this area. So in a way, if we see a nice good close, at least of the 4-hour candle below the 0.9930, then we will target lower areas like the 0.9882 or even further down. But for now, it seems that it's struggling to do that. It's also struggling with the upside, because as you can see, it did try to push above the 0.9950 today. It reached this level that I talked about this morning as well, the 0.9962, or should I say fell shy of just a few ticks from touching that level, and you can see that quickly retraced back down and dropped back below the 0.9950. So in a way, the 0.9950 also is a quite an important level to watch. So keep your eyes on these guys, on these levels. If we see a nice good close of the 4-hour candle, of a 4-hour candle at least, either let's say above the 0.9962 here, or a drop below the 0.9930, then yep, we'll consider further directional move. But for now, we're kind of stuck here in limbo, and waiting for USDCHF to make the next move. USDJPY, it is trying to push back up here. It did kind of respect this area again, the 108.20. You can see that the 4-hour candle failed to close below that. Yes, we did drop slightly lower, but kind of the bulls quickly pushed it back above it, and now the pair is back above its pivot. Now, for now, we're going to remain neutral because we're in this territory. We're above the 108.20, but we're still below this downside, the short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 21st of May. So in a way, for us, let's say, to consider higher levels, we need to see not only a good break of this downside resistance line, but ideally a nice good push back above the 109 zone. This way we could then target higher areas, at least a few higher areas. Could be even the psychological 110 zone, but for now it is where it is. We are going to remain like somewhat neutral here on this one. If we see a drop below the 108.20, if we see a nice good close of the 4-hour candle below this level, then initially we will target the 107.75, but if that fails to withhold, then yep, the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then aim for the 107.38 zone, approximately there. And just to show you what that level was here in the past, the 107.38 acted as a good area of support here, or should I say actually the intraday swing low of the 3rd of January. So good potential target, but we need a few support areas getting broken first before we could target that level. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's GBPNZD. So just a quick mentioning, we threw out this idea here a while ago on TradingView on our account, and for now it seems to be working nicely. So it is in positive territory here. So after we did get our break here above the 1.9255, it continues to travel higher. It did test the 200 EMA. I've spoke about this one previously, where I was saying that keep a close eye on this 200 EMA. We may see this one correcting a little bit back down. So we did correct a little bit back down. That's nice, and now it's kind of aiming back up again. If it breaks above this 200 EMA again, then yep, we may continue targeting our aim here near the 1.948 and 1.9490 level, something like that, approximately there. This could be a nice potential target, but for now we're very careful. In this scenario here, like I said, we are very cautious because still the pound could be weakened by any headlines, any negative headlines regarding Brexit. So that's why be very careful with this pair. For now, yes, it is trying to travel higher, but if we see a push above the 200 EMA, then yep, we will continue targeting higher levels. But if it'll start struggling near this 200 EMA again, we may see a move back down, and this is where it will be very interesting to see actually if the bears can take control back of this pair and drive this one lower. For now, we are more positive than negative on this one, but let's see how this is going to play out near this 200 EMA. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Once again, if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel here on our page, yep, feel free. We'll be happy to kind of see you here. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Traders Espresso, as always, that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, I hope you have a beautiful evening, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.